we're saying in his new book on his complex scientific research, R frequently imputes bad faith to researchers disagreeing with him. Okay, so he frequently says like, hey, these research, so in his book, R frequently just says that these researchers that disagree with him like have like bad intentions of doing so. A troubling aspect of R's book is his stated conviction that other investigators' funding sources often determine what findings those investigators report. Add to this that R has often shown himself to be arrogant, overly ambitious, and sometimes plain nasty, and it becomes clear that R's book does not merit attention from serious professionals. I love this flaw. What is our condition, or what is our conclusion though, Nilo?
It's right at the end there that it becomes clear that R's book does not merit attention from serious professionals.
Awesome. And then is it, did you say Denisha?
Yes.
Denisha, what is our support for that? Why is this, like, what are we using to justify our conclusion here, or try to justify?
They're using personal attacks to justify their conclusion.
So you're taking it to the next level, but our support here is that R has often shown himself to be arrogant, overly ambitious, and plain nasty. So then R does not merit. So what did you predict here? What is his author failing to consider, or what is his author assuming? What do you think, Malika Nagin? Are you here? How do you pronounce your last name, Malika? I've never had to say it because I've never had two Malikas before.
It's Megan.
Megan, okay, perfect. Malika, what is this author failing to consider or assuming?
They're failing to consider what R's book is actually about and is instead attacking R, I guess, and the sources R uses rather than what the book is actually about.
Yes, okay, this is one of my favorite flaws. Has anybody, because so a parallel flaw to this would be, I think Jess, I gave you this one the other day. Jess killed someone, and then Jess said murder is bad. But since Jess is a hypocrite, murder is not bad. Is that true? Like, just because, like, can I be a hypocrite, but what I'm saying still be accurate? Exactly. This happens all the time, though. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into these answer choices and go ahead and put your answer in the chat. For those of you that got this right, was there one answer that completely jumped out at you and you're like, okay, wow, that took 5 seconds? That's why we predict our answers. But for those, but even though it was easy for us to see the right answer, this is where we review and get better for next time. And we're going to go through the wrong answers and be able to spout out exactly why that's wrong. And the reason that we do this is sometimes, has anybody ever read an answer where you don't know what a word is or you don't really know what it's saying and you're afraid to pick it? I feel like I'm picking on Jess Bulling a lot, but we went over this the other day too. I'm sorry, where sometimes, like, just because we don't know something, we don't get to just skip it and ignore it. We have to give it a chance. So, but if we can eliminate the other 4 answer choices for sure, we give ourselves a chance to get it right. And so with that in mind, let's go over these. I told some people to go over these wrong ones. So let's start with B, Sabrina.
Yeah, so B is wrong because saying that it takes for granted that investigators are unlikely to report findings that are contrary to the interest. I think he says that it's R that does that, or he says that the investigators that like who theirs is like contrary to his and that it's being funded to do so. Like, it's irrelevant. It's not the flaw with the issue. It has nothing to do with like the conclusion.
Yeah, this is like what R is saying is the flaw of that other person. It's not our conclusion's flaw, right? Like, we're saying that like, hey, this other, like, we say that this other person is.
Yeah, it's not R doing that. So.
Yes, excellent. Or it's not us saying that R is wrong. This is what R is saying about those other people. All right, so why is C wrong? I think I don't remember who I assigned that one to.
Oh, it was me.
Too much scientific theory.
Oh, sorry, Jess. I think I assigned this one to Jess Gluck.
Yeah. And I didn't even see the word bias. I thought it said base. So I was like, oh, that's wrong. But the reason is because it's not a scientific theory. It's like R's book and the merit and him saying he doesn't deserve merit attention. So yeah.
Exactly. So this is a great thing of what I mentioned earlier, right? Where if we can't find the scientific theory we dismiss, this answer can't be right. So we can cross that off. So like if I asked you, what's the scientific theory? Can we find one? No. So let's cross that off. All right. D. I think Nilo, you had D. Am I pronouncing?
Yeah,
Nilo?
for sure.
If I
No, you're great.
don't pronounce your name right, I get nervous. Anybody, I get nervous, and then I overthink it, and then I usually, I mess it up.
No, you're good. You're good. Here, there's the issue that says there's several assertions about the book. First of all, there's several assertions about the author, not the book. There's only really one assertion about the book, which happens to be the conclusion. So that whole part falls apart. It may be tempting if you kind of read the second part where it says only on strong conviction and would be impossible for others to verify, which could be true. Like if it's just character related things, maybe you're tempted to say that, but the first part is really where the issue comes in.
Yeah, so presenting as facts several assertions about the book. So that means like we take our assumptions and we present them as if they're fact. That's what that means. And so do we take anything that is our assumption and present it as facts about the book? Nope. We're just talking about R's characters. We don't mention any like assumptions about or that at all. And then also is like technically we're saying like and would be impossible for others to verify. Is anything impossible to verify here? We could technically verify any of this, right? So D can't be right. And then Brittany, you have E.
So E is failing to distinguish between the criteria of being true and being sufficiently interesting. So like the argument didn't separate those two things. Like something is true versus like something is interesting that we should pay attention to. Like it didn't compare to those two things. Or it didn't fail to compare those two things because it's not necessary.
Yes, I love that. We didn't fail to compare the criteria of being true and just being it being good enough to merit attention, like so this is like something could be like this is like I'm thinking about clickbait, right? Something can be like an actual news article that is true and something could just be like a headline that's just clickbait on Facebook. That's what those are how those two things can be different. And we don't have any two things to even fail to distinguish between the two. I think your explanation, Brittany, was fabulous. E is once again, one of those answer choices that a lot of people read and you might be able to read each word and pronounce it, but you don't know what they mean when they put them all together. And that's what we want to work on.